What's up, guys? This is Brandon from the freaking Two-Piece Mandem, and as you've seen by the title of this video, it's called Why Liverpool Can't Compete Against Manchester City. Now, currently, Manchester City won their game against Watford. I think it was 3-1, and they're now currently 4 points ahead of Liverpool, and Liverpool have to win their game against Burnley, or, let's be honest, they're pretty much going to struggle putting the pressure on Manchester City. So essentially, I'm going to tell you why Liverpool can't compete against Manchester City from the freaking get-go. Now, first point is that they don't have enough quality players when it comes to rotating. So essentially, Manchester City have a lot of depth in their squad, and Liverpool have a lot of depth in their squad. But the difference between those two squads is that when Manchester City have depth in their squad, it's quality. They have a lot of players who have a high standard of quality. Whereas Liverpool, they have a lot of players, but they're not high quality players, right? They're not high standard, high world class players, all right? So for instance, let's say Bernardo Silva gets injured for Manchester City. They can just replace him with Riyad Mahrez. Fair enough, you may say Riyad Mahrez is not as good as Bernardo Silva, but he is as close to Bernardo Silva in terms of quality. He is as close, and no one can even argue with that, all right? And no one can argue with that. You can agree to disagree with that. But all I'm saying is that Mahrez is just as close to Bernardo Silva. So bottom line, he's a world-class player. Second of all, if someone like Raheem Sterling gets injured, right, you can bring on Leroy Sané, who may not be as good as Sterling, he may be better than Sterling or as equal as Sterling, but the point is that he is world-class. That's the difference. When they're rotating players, they're not getting they're not rotating like low class players or anything like that. They're not substituting a world class player for a player that's not as good. They're substituting the player that may be better, as equal, or is as close to that player as possible when it comes to substituting and rotating players. With Liverpool, if you take off Salah, you bring on Shaqiri. Don't get me wrong, Shaqiri is quality. He is world class. Don't get me wrong, he has played a couple of good passes, but personally, he's just not as close to Salah as I would expect. He's just not as good as Salah. He's not better than Salah at all. And you want to substitute players that are as good as them. Let's be honest. You want to substitute players that are as good as them or even as close as them. Let's be honest. Like now, let's say you're rotating players. You take off Wijnaldum for Adam Lallana. Like Adam Lallana, he's a decent player, but let's be honest, he barely gets a game at Liverpool. He's just not as good. He's not even as close to Wijnaldum as people would love him to be. Fair enough, fans love him, but he's just not as good. And that's the main difference with this whole thing. That's why Manchester City are at the top. It's in terms of rotation, and when I talk about depth, Man City have lots of quality depth. They have world class depth in their squad. Whereas Liverpool, they have depth, but it's not world class. It's like medium standard players, if that makes sense. I think the only way for Liverpool to compete next season is as if they either get rid of the deadwood, right? They either get rid of those players that aren't world class, or they either train these players up to make them world class. Personally, I would just toss them to the side of the road, essentially, because Liverpool don't have time to freaking train these players and make them world class. It would take them at least 2 or 3 years to get them to that standard, all right? So essentially, they pretty much have to toss them out and buy some world class players. Second reason why Liverpool can't compete with Manchester City is Mohamed Salah's poor form. Now, we all know the freaking guy last season that was banging in goals for jokes for Liverpool. That 2017 Salah. That Salah was absolutely amazing. He was just banging in goals, left, right, and centre. It was just world class. This season, it's not going right. It's not going well for him, and his form has been awful. And the last game I watched him in was Liverpool versus Everton. We had a one-on-one chance with Pickford. Fair enough. Not all good players score from that angle, and not all great players score, but he should have scored that. Like with the type of quality he has, what he's done, what the type of runs he's made for Liverpool, and the positions he's been in, and the impossible angles that he's been in to score, he should have scored that. Like, it's just bottom line, right? Salah has to be on form. I think if this was the 2017 Salah right now, I reckon Liverpool would be at the top. And I don't mean at the top by freaking like goal difference or by 2 points. I think they'd be at the top by 6 points because he would be banging in goals. All right, Salah has to be on form for Liverpool, or it's just not working. Like you just like it's just the way it is. Like for example, if Aubameyang's not on form, freaking Arsenal, then they're not really scoring goals. Fair enough, they have Lacazette, but let's be real, you don't really have the pace of Aubameyang or positioning or how can I say, attacking instincts of Aubameyang. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what separates that's what separates a midfielder from a striker. It's what separates a good player from a world-class player, right? They have that little bit of edge. They have those tiny little bit of personal attributes that make them the players that they are today. And Salah's form just hasn't been the best for them. Like let's be honest, it just hasn't been amazing. He's been all right, but it's not the Salah that we saw last season. And what makes you great is that if you can keep scoring goals every season consistently. Like Ronaldo, he scored when he was at Real Madrid for 8 years. He kept scoring up to 40 to 50 goals a season. That's why he's world class. Messi did that for Barcelona. He did that on a consistent basis. That's what makes these players great. They do it on a consistent basis. Whether they're low in confidence, whether they're high in confidence, whether they feel like crap, whether they feel amazing, whether they had family problems, they're still scoring goals. And that's the thing. All right, that's the thing with Manchester. That's the thing with Messi and Ronaldo. In Manchester City, you can't really tell who their best player is. Some people may say Aguero because he's banging in the goals. At the same time, their players are just high in quality, right? Manchester City's players are just high in quality, right? And let me tell you now, you may think it's easy for freaking Pep Guardiola because he's at the top and he's got all these world-class players. No, it's not freaking easy for him. If anything, it's harder than anything else. Because number one, he has to keep motivating these players to do so. And even if these players are 9 points clear, he still has to get them to press and score as many goals as possible against other teams. Because we know when you're comfortable and you're at like 10 points clear, you could easily just think, oh, we've got this now. We're 10 points clear. We don't have to work as hard. No, he has to keep motivating them. He has to use his leadership skills as well. There's a lot of egos in the team as well that think that this, that they don't have to do a lot, they don't have to track back. Pep has to keep motivating them. Like Pep Guardiola, he's a world-class manager, all right? And if anything, he's in more pressure than Liverpool because he's expecting to win all the cups. When you're 4 points clear, think about it. When you're at the top and it's 4 points clear, there's more pressure on you, right? There is more pressure on you because you have to win every game. And even if you draw a game and your rivals win a game, they're like 2 points behind you, just like that. So essentially, you have to keep winning as many games as possible. And the thing is that these players tire out during these types of seasons. So essentially, they go through like Champions League football, FA Cup football, all that stuff, and they tire out. And you also have to give them a rest at different times and train them on certain days. So essentially, you have to give it to Pep Guardiola the way he's done this. And difference is that Man City have given him time. All right, we obviously don't do that because we don't want to give our managers time. We obviously expect a Champions League in the next 2 weeks. We expect a Premier League in the next 24 hours. And yeah, we don't give managers time. So that's just Chelsea. That's all I got to deal with. But with Manchester City, they give their managers time. With Liverpool, they give their managers time. Arsenal, they give their managers freaking 2 decades. So, that's Arsenal for you, isn't it? But like I said, that's the reason why Liverpool cannot compete with Manchester City at this moment in time. If they can sign more high quality players, right? Salah's form just improves. He needs to fix that up. He needs to train. I wouldn't say train harder, but train smarter. Work on some key areas. Because I remember when I was watching the Everton game, his touch was a little bit off. It wasn't the 2017 like Salah touch. It wasn't really quick. The movement wasn't really there that much. His finishing wasn't really on point. So I think that's what needs to happen for Liverpool if they really do want to compete against Manchester City. But right now, they're not competing against them, and that's why they're 4 points behind them. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on why Liverpool can't compete against Manchester City. Also comment why you think Liverpool can compete against Manchester City, what they need to do to even get close to Manchester City, and how they can beat them and actually secure the title that they haven't won in over 30 years. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in a bit. More crap like this is going to come out soon, and peace.